States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. I call the meeting to order. I have actually a nice crowd here tonight and hopefully on screen as well. And as I usually do, I'd just like to introduce the folks that are around the table. So we have Christine Keller, our town clerk, Councillor John Pachati, Councillor Stephanie Thibodeau, our town manager, Michelle Llewellyn, Councillor Larry McDonald, Councillor Peter Lawrence, and Council Chair myself, Matt Townsend. So we'll start the meeting. The first order of business are public announcements, details that may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. Fairfield is hiring with openings in the town office, police, and fire. Number 2, Fairfield has volunteer openings for the following ad hoc committees: Building Advisory Committee and Committee to address the ramifications of PFAS contamination. If you're interested in serving your community, please complete an appointment application from a form available online at the town office. 3, Friday concerts in the park season runs through August 25th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. And number 4, the Fairfield Farmers Market is currently being held only on Saturdays from 9:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The market is located at the Fairfield Church of the Nazarene at 81 Main Street. The second order of business, public hearings. To hear from the public on renewal request for 5 cannabis licenses located at 228 Norwich Walk Road. There are Cannabis Cured Cultivation, Full Spectrum Solutions, Mainly Baked, Sam Crockett Dispensary, and the Green Alien Cannabis Company.
You have the manager overview the protocols for online if we have anybody.
We don't currently have anybody online, but if you were online, if you're at home watching us and you decide to get online because you do want to make a comment, you just simply need to go into the reaction section of Zoom and click the raise your hand button, and then we'll call on you to address the council if you want to participate in the public hearing. But there's nobody at this time.
Okay.
And number 2.
Oh, you got this one.
That's right. Okay, thank you.
31.
All right. Good evening, Town Council members. My name is Brian Harnish. I'm employed by Cannabis Cured Cultivation, LLC, and I am the Licensing and Compliance Manager. We are seeking local approval from you today to renew the local licenses for the 5 businesses listed on the agenda. I just wanted to give you a couple updates. We have about 110 employees. We currently offer our employees full benefits, health insurance, dental, PTO, and 401k. And it's been a pleasure working with the town of Fairfield this far. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions, concerns?
I'm very pleased to hear that you have so many employed and also your business incentives as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate hearing that.
I didn't realize you had that many.
Seeing no others.
You got to close it.
You have to declare that one closed.
Yeah.
Oh. Is this new cannabis,
On the first,
just public input for cannabis relicensing?
say this for the first group? Yes.
Sorry if you can't read this, but you'll know who I am. That's George Hofgren, 74 Nice Corner Drive up in Shawmut, Hinckley area. And I've spoken before. Some councilors will remember at other relicensings, either for alcohol in town or for cannabis when it was initially licensed in this town. Matt, I don't think you're here at that time, but when I moved to Fairfield 25 years ago, other than the VFW, I don't recall there being actually alcohol. Well, no, there was on the corner store. Can't remember his name. Can't remember the name of his store, but and then within like a couple of years, all of a sudden there's literally alcohol. If you walk from here and then go up the road to a Circle K, almost every single business has alcohol for sale. So you can probably figure out where I'm going from my tone of voice. I'm not in favor of the cannabis industry in general, which is not germane to this conversation, but I'm definitely not in favor of it for Fairfield. And I think that the economic factors are secondary to what's, I think, going to eventually be a short-term, I think in 4 or 5 years. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter either. I'm not against the legalized marijuana or the promotion of it by the town of Fairfield due to its impact on its residents and central Maine in general.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, George, thank you.
So we'll close number 1. To the second part, to hear from the public on the request for 2 cannabis licenses, Maple Valley Farms Retail, and then Maple Valley Farms Cultivation.
Hi, my name is Anthony Violet. I currently own Maple Valley Farms. We're a state licensed dispensary. I have a retail store on Main Street in Waterville. I opened in 2018. I have a cultivation facility right now in Fairfield Center. It's under a dispensary license. I'm applying for a change of use to convert one of my grow rooms into a cultivation room for adult use and to get municipal approval to open up a retail store at 518 Road. I employ 10 employees on payroll, health insurance benefits for everybody, paid time off. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to field them.
I don't have any questions at the moment.
Yep.
Give.
There's nobody. I'm just wondering if you're declaring it closed.
Yeah,
That's
so
all.
make sure you want to finish it there.
Okay.
No, nobody to question? Michelle, nobody online.
No, still
Right.
nobody online.
Declare number 2 closed. Moving on to the third order of business. Public comments. Limit of 3 minutes. Members of the public may speak to the council or request opportunity to speak on a specific item that is on the agenda, or may email comments for council to info@fairfieldme.com by 4 p.m. day of meeting. Submitted content may be read aloud at this time.
Any submitted content?
Okay. Any public comments? George?
It's not really a public comment, but it's so, since we're all happen to be here, I tried to, online today, I tried to apply for both the ad hoc committees, but I couldn't get the PDF to reload after I filled it out. So I brought down like a paper thing.
George, there are applications right out here on the shelf.
I've got one.
Oh, you brought down the application?
Yeah, I already
Okay.
had a paper copy.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying this is that I didn't look at the first half of the agenda. I saw in the second half of the agenda that you guys were going to be discussing it tonight, so I wasn't sure if you were still going to be taking applications with Ken K.
We're
Benson.
constantly taking, so give it to me and we'll have it and they'll be able to have it for the next meeting. Thanks. But we do, just in case it ever happens again, you can always stop by the town office. We have applications there. And we do have a staff room out here in Queens on the tomorrow. So
Yeah, I did stop by, that's right. But that was like months ago. I thought I could do it last minute. I just couldn't get a PDF.
it's okay.
Thank you, George.
Very good. So no more comments. So we'll move on to our fourth order of business, reports from staff committees, the town manager report.
All right. So June 29th, the Green Road opened through traffic. Yay, everybody was very excited. We were hoping it was going to, but we weren't sure about paving, so I didn't dare mention it at your last council meeting. But it did go according to plan, so that was great. We're happy that was done. And then on the 11th, which was yesterday, the Economic Community Development Committee did meet, which I'm sure Councilor Thibodeau will update you on. And then a couple of other things, the community action grant that we've been working with KV with has been submitted. It was finalized and submitted last week. We're looking to upgrade the stove here at the community center, which will get us another step closer to our goal of creating a warming and cooling center here at the community center. Also wanted to let you know, I received word via email just last night. The Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry did announce yesterday that they have finalized their PFAS Fund Advisory Committee's plan for administration of the fund to address PFAS contamination. The press release has been posted to our Facebook page. I believe it was on the news this evening. And then a link to the plan is also on our Facebook page. It is 85 wonderful pages of reading. So, but it does talk about a lot of things that will very much affect folks that live here in the town of Fairfield, especially our farmers and their approach that they're going to take to provide some relief to agricultural production when it comes to PFAS contamination. So it is very interesting. It's still, their plan is a work in progress, but it definitely gives an indication as to the direction they're going to be going in. And then also we received word this morning that LD 718 passed and was signed as emergency legislation. What does that mean? What that means is the legislation that we had talked about several months ago that was going to cause a surcharge on the disposal of septic sludge. It was going to cause some budgetary emergencies for us when it came to our sewer bill for KSTD. They passed emergency legislation that put a stay on the legislation that created the issue, which was the removal of out-of-state bulky waste and construction debris. That has been extended. So basically what was supposed to go into effect January 1st of 2022 has been given an extension deadline of July 1st of 2024. So there are other parameters that have been pushed out to 2025. So basically the $61.49 per wet ton of disposal of sludge from KSTD has been stopped by Casella. They said if this legislation went through that fee would go away, and that hasn't happened. So now they have a little bit of a grace period, a year or so, to really work on a solution that's more permanent to deal with the disposal of sludge from all over the state that doesn't involve us necessarily shipping it off to Canada and hoping that we can bring in out-of-state waste to bulk up our landfills. So those are just some big project things that we've been monitoring and watching that have all kind of come to fruition this week. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions for Michelle?
Michelle, are we going to have access to that PFAS report?
Yeah, so like I said, the link to it is right on our Facebook page.
Yep.
So the full document there you can download. If you would, the council would like us to print a copy, we certainly can. This is the final report. They finalized it on Monday was when they approved it. But I certainly can print you a copy if you want one. And then of course too, it will be great information for the PFAS committee. Once you get enough members, it'll be a good document to look at and peruse, so, and know what could be coming in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be old school. I'll probably ask for a paper copy at some point.
Yeah, so we'll get them printed and get them in your box.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Committee. So economic development.
Yes, we met yesterday and we looked at the first draft of the waterfront plan. And it was done through a PowerPoint presentation. And it's the Garvin Donegan and Sabrina Jandro from the Central Maine Growth Council have done a wonderful job. It's still in a rough form. It's just the first draft. And it's inclusive of what we have done so far since about 2018 and earlier. So we're in our mailboxes for the committee. We should be getting the hard copy to critique. And at next month's meeting, we will go over the suggestions, and hopefully in August, we will be presenting the final draft for the council. So it's good progress. We have made very good progress.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
We also had 3 members of the public yesterday at the meeting.
Yeah.
So that was very nice.
Very good.
Yes.
I think there are no other committee reports this time. The fifth order of business, the consent agenda. These items are considered routine or standard business and therefore will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests prior to consideration of this portion of the agenda, which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered next on the agenda. Item 2384, order the Fairfield Town Council hereby waives the reading of and accepts the minutes for meeting number 2023, number 11, held on June 28th, 2023. Item 2385, order the Town Council hereby approves the treasurer's warrant number 121, fiscal year 22-23, general fund in the amount of $78,720.85, not limited to but including Accutech, Motor Vehicles, and Freedom Paving, and the treasurer's warrant number 54, fiscal year 23-24, general fund in the amount of $643,363.20, not limited to but including MSCD 49, CMGC, MMEHT bond payment, the property and liability, Green Road Culvert, and the police department software.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Passes. This the sixth order of business, to take action on the following items of business as read by the council chair. Item 2386, order the town council hereby approves renewals for 5 cannabis licenses located at the 228 Norwich Walk Road and authorizes town manager to sign and submit corresponding 3 main Office of Cannabis Policy local authorization forms in accordance with the Fairfield Land Use Ordinance sections 6.4A and 9.20 and state statutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
So they are in full compliance with the land use ordinance, planning board, state of Maine, and there are no complaints with Fairfield PD.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I'd just like to thank Mark and his crew for doing business in our town. Thank you.
All right. So at this point, all those in favor?
Sustain.
Abstain?
Sustain, yep.
You're abstaining.
Yep.
Item 2387, whether the town council hereby approves 2 cannabis licenses and approves the town manager to sign and submit corresponding with the main Office of Cannabis Policy local authorization forms in accordance with the Fairfield Land Use Ordinance section 6.4A and 9.20
So moved.
and state statutes.
Second.
Motion a second. Any discussion?
Yes. I have 2 questions for you, Tony. When will the store, the retail store be operational?
I'm hoping to open the retail store somewhere in December, November, December.
Okay. And it's the second item is not really a question, but I also want to thank you for doing your business in here.
Thank you. It's nice to have grown up in Fairfield my entire life and be able to do business in Fairfield and add to the tax base and the economic base. Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How's the traffic down that side of Norwich Road? Because I know you're past heading to Norwich Walk. I know it's a dangerous area.
I'm about a mile past the intersection to Skowhegan, the middle
Okay.
road, and it's quite a heavily traveled road. I don't really think traffic's from my store is going to affect
Okay.
the traffic count that much.
Thank you, Tony.
Good. Thank you.
I believe the building was an existing business, correct? I'm sorry, I should have asked you that before you walked in. The building was an existing business, correct?
Yeah, I've been in there since 2019. I had a grow facility there for my caregiver store.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
I'm staying.
Item 2388, order the Fairfield Town Council hereby determines a need to establish a charter commission to consider revision of the municipal charter and therefore submits to the voters of the town of Fairfield the question for the establishment of a charter commission at the next regular municipal election to be held on November 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Steph?
I'd like to be clear about why we are going to ask for the Charter Commission. It's to be determined what they are going to come up with. Back, excuse me, when we had the Charter Committee, part of it was on the voting aspects. That may come up again. So to go and have the Charter Commission is one step above the Charter Committee, and it will be up to that commission to take a look at the charter, find areas where we can improve, and it may go beyond elections. But for me, when we only have 55 people going out to vote, maybe it's worth taking a good look at how we're doing business and seeing if we can get more people involved. So, but
Right.
I'm in favor of that Charter Commission. It's a good time to do this.
Yeah, I think it's time to update and look at the charter. It's always good to see it's a dynamic document.
Yeah.
But I also feel that if you look at elections, that may be just one part of this. I think there's a lot of focus on that. And some people on both sides have strong opinions, but I think it's at least good to have that discussion.
Right.
And so we'll see what the commission decides, if we decide to enable a commission. I think it's well worth. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Passes. Item 2389, order that the town council hereby accepts Adam Lorett's resignation and hereby declares and advertises a vacancy on the Economic and Community Development Committee for the remainder of a one-year term set to expire at the date and time of the town council organizational meeting in January 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. I think,
Basically, we need to have, it's a 7-member committee. More people can come, but the committee members themselves are the voting members. And it's really important that we have enough people to make a quorum. And so we have a policy in our town that a committee member has to be present 75% of the time. And hopefully we'll have a candidate that can fulfill that.
good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Item 2390, order the town council hereby vote to fix a date when taxes shall be due and payable in 4 installments when billed, and that an annual interest rate of 8% per annum be charged on taxes remaining unpaid after the 13th day of September 2023, or 30 days from the date of commitment, whichever is later, for the first installment after the first day of November 2023, for the second installment after the 7th day of February 2024, for the third installment after the 9th day of May 2024, for the fourth installment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion.
These are the same dates, right? The dates haven't changed, have they?
Well, they're relatively close to the same.
Right, I
Yeah,
mean,
they're not the same exact dates, but they're close. We have to make sure they don't fall on a Saturday.
okay.
Right.
Follows the
Yeah.
same.
Because I
Follows
just,
the same.
so people can plan, that's why I was
No,
asking.
and yeah, we
It
did. We
was
try to keep it very
relatively
consistent with
close.
the same.
Okay, good. Right.
The one that becomes fluid is the first installment, which is why that says or 30 days from date of commitment, because we had that time, like the school was late in getting their budget passed. So we couldn't even, it was like September before we even had the numbers,
That's
right? So
right.
you sometimes, or there can be hiccups in the assessment process, so. But the goal right now is we believe the first meeting that you have in August, you're gonna have your recommendation from the assessor with a preliminary calculation of how much we'll need to take from undesignated fund balance. And we should be able to commit the following day. So we're looking at committing probably the 17th of August, which means they'll be due the 17th of September, close to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but the other three are the same. So we try to make sure they don't fall next to holidays, they don't fall on Saturdays or Sundays. We also actually try really hard to not have them due on Friday either, because then people aren't lined up at the end of the day with also trying to do car registrations and everything else. So it's usually a middle of the week sort of thing.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for the town manager. Can people pay using the Dropbox? Or do they-
Yes,
So they can use the
Yes.
Dropbox and rather than
Yes.
go to the window?
that is cameraed, and I check it literally every morning faithfully, and when I'm out, we have coverage.
Okay, thank you.
So what happens when it gets tricky is the interest date, right? So if you hit the Dropbox, we're not gonna post your check until the next day if you hit it in the evening, so people need to bear that in mind. You can also pay online, but the fees that are usually associated with using your credit card account online are usually pretty exorbitant. We don't recommend it to folks, but you can drop it in the Dropbox.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Item 2391, order the town council hereby vote to fix the interest rate to be paid by the town on abated taxes pursuant to Title 36 MRSA 506A at 4%.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Can you just explain that one a little bit? Michelle?
Absolutely can. So there is a provision in the law that allows us to pay back property taxes at a lower interest rate than what is paid, we charge for people who don't pay them. What that means is, you don't pay your property taxes on time, you just voted, we're gonna charge 8%. That rate is actually set by the Treasurer State of Maine every single year. Then on abated taxes, which means you've paid your taxes, come to find out there was something wrong with the assessment, we're gonna pay you back. What you've paid us, we will pay you 4% interest on that. If you don't vote to set the interest rate, what happens is that it has to be paid out at the same amount that you collect, so it would be at 8%. The reason why it's typically lower is that you could know there was a mistake on your property taxes, you could pay us the overpayment, then request at the end of the 185 days for the abatement, and you make a pretty good return on your investment, better than the rates that we're actually getting from a bank.
8% is pretty good.
8% is pretty good, even 4% is pretty good, so
Thank
that's the
you.
reason why it exists. I didn't make it up.
So motion discuss and second, any discussion? All those in favor? Item 2392, order that the town council hereby vote to apply as much of the yearly overlay as may be necessary to fund property tax abatements and applicable interest granted during the July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 fiscal year.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Again, any further discussion on that or this?
Let me explain what
Yeah,
that
sure,
is
that'd be
too.
great for people listening.
So just so folks are aware, so the overlay is actually the amount of money that is extra during the tax commitment, right? So you need a certain amount of money, you have property values, you multiply it by the mill rate, you get as close as you can to the amount of property taxes that you need to raise. There's always a little bit more than what you need to have. It can never be more than 5% of the overall tax commitment. But that is what is used to pay abatements, so to pay people back if they are overassessed or incorrectly assessed, that sort of stuff. So, but in order to spend that, you have to have permission in order to do that. So in all of these articles, just to kind of sum up, a lot of people might remember that these were typically done at town meeting, and then the last time that the town charter changed back in 2016, the only thing that's ever done at town meeting is the operating budget. It specifically states that. So these articles didn't need to go to town meeting and be part of that warrant process, but they do now come here to the town council. It is your authority to make these decisions. So this is summing up the end of that. So
Thank you, Michelle. Welcome. A motion second, any more discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Item 2393, order the town council hereby authorize the tax collector to accept prepayment of taxes not yet committed and to pay no interest on said prepayments.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to second, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Item 2394, order that the town council hereby confirms the town manager's appointments of Jonathan Ketchen as firefighter EMT effective July 17th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Stephanie?
For the chief. Where do we stand now with our employment of people? Are we still up, down people?
Yes,
How many?
a position.
One position? How many people do we have per diem working for the fire department?
I want to say right now there's 3, because we've hired one of those people, so they're no longer per diem.
Good. We're getting there.
Yes,
Yes.
we're on the right track.
Yes, we are. Yep. Thank you.
What, Chief Bickford, what's the open position that you have?
It's a regular 50-hour a week,
56.
24-hour,
So it's a regular
yeah,
56?
regular
hour.
firefighter.
Yeah. And so this person that you hired is not qualified to be a 56-hour?
He did not apply for it, nor did he want it. He wanted just a 40-hour a week utility
Okay,
position.
so I assume the difference must be like some certification and experience and things of that nature, right?
No, it's the same criteria. Right now, the 40-hour a week was a utility position we asked for a couple of years ago. This is the first time it's been filled.
I see.
So the biggest difference is you don't stay at the fire station. You work Monday through Friday during the day.
I see. Yep. All right, good. Thank you.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. 2395, order the town council hereby considers appointments to the ad hoc building advisory committee for a 1-year term to expire on June 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. We have the one application I see is through as Brian Bickford. That's what I have.
Yep.
I think I obviously recognize Brian. Any discussion?
I'd like to thank Brian for coming tonight.
Yep.
And with all of your experience, you'll be an asset to the building committee.
Brian, would you like to say anything? Or are you just being here? I'm glad you're here as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to coming to town. I saw.
Thanks. That way I'll be.
Thank you, Brian Bickford, 16 Bickford Drive, Fairfield. I just saw that you guys needed somebody of some sort of mechanical skills. I have plumbing, heating, gas, air conditioning. And I was a school teacher for 17 years, teaching plumbing and heating. I've done solar, geothermal training. So I think I can be some sort of an asset to this committee. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank
Thank you, Brian. Very good. You don't have to sell us. We appreciate you wanting to step up and contribute.
Yep.
Especially with all your experience. So
Definitely.
So this makes 4 for the building ad hoc committee, right?
Would you appoint last week, 2 or 3?
Yeah.
That's what I can't remember. It was
Yeah.
Terry York, Jonathan, and.
Might have been 3. And Robert.
And Robert.
Yep, so that makes 4.
So this is 4.
So we're waiting for any more, or we up, Michelle?
Potentially. I think, wow, you have to look at your
Yeah, we'll
rules.
look at the thing and we'll see what we've got. We've been getting applications coming in, which is good. So,
Good.
and it's generated some interest. I really hope it's because everybody out there is talking about how exciting this committee is going to be. I'm certain that's what it is. And we keep pushing it. So hopefully we'll get some and get things going.
Stephanie will make cookies.
I'm make cookies.
Peter will. Peter will.
I know.
Peter's in charge of that committee. He's gonna make cookies.
They're really good.
Thank you.
You have a motion and a second. Is there
Motion
a friendly amendment from Peter?
Because you didn't include a
You
name
didn't
in the
include the
motion.
name.
That's your, yes.
Oh,
So you want to amend
make a
it so that
motion there, we
they,
accept Brian Pippin's application for the building committee.
And I'll second that.
Very good.
Thank you.
And any more discussion? All those in favor? Very good, thank you. And thank you, Brian. Order the town council hereby considers appointments to the ad hoc committee to address the ramifications of PFAS contamination for a one-year term to expire on June 30th, 2024.
you haven't had any additional applications, so,
George, we'll be able to maybe accept, look at yours for next,
yeah, for the next meeting. Yep. Yep, definitely.
By the way,
No, it's fine. That's why there's multiple check boxes on the form, so, thank you. So we'll have more stuff for you for your next meeting. We're just gonna keep this on here until
yep, do
So we
it.
have
Well,
it for you.
we're getting there.
works out.
Copy paste.
Copy.
So at this point,
Copy paste.
2396 will be nothing to be voted on at this point. Right. So moving on actually to the seventh order of business, there's and other business. So the first one is to discuss fire EMS audit proposal. Michelle, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. So, you received in your packet tonight the proposal that we have received from Municipal Resources, Inc. I reached out to them, it was probably back in May at this point. They are a firm out of New Hampshire. They actually do department audits for multiple different backgrounds and professions. But I contacted them about our fire department EMS services because of everything that is going on within our department. One, in the beginning, first of all, it was the EMS issues that surrounded Delta Ambulance and transport. And do we stay the same? Do we change? Do we evolve? And then also at that time, we were significantly down on staff. So it was another piece to take a look at and consider. And I had been told about a report that these folks had done for the town of Saco, and I was able to review that. They do a really great in-depth investigation into your department. They look at not only your existing structure, but the surrounding structures, surrounding departments, resources, equipment, right down to land use ordinances, so they do current planning as well as future planning. And so the chief and I discussed this. We took a look at it. We've discussed it with the staff. We thought that this might be the perfect timing for us to actually have something done like this with our fire department in EMS services. It does come with a price tag. It's estimated at $27,950. Although that says police department, that should say fire. And what I would like to do, if this is something that you would like to consider and have us do, we would use ARPA funds to pay for it. It's a great one-time only kind of project, in which we would get an extremely valuable document, I think, out of it. A couple other things we had looked at recently had been across the manager's listserv. Another municipality was also looking for someone to provide this service, and we got nothing for anybody else who does them other than this company. I do know that our state chief association, so like the fire chiefs association or the police chiefs association, will do them for their respective departments. I did not reach out that avenue, thinking because of the fact that Dwayne has been the head of that organization before. So therefore, one could argue that you would receive a report that would come with bias. So this was to allow us to go directly with an outside firm, nobody who has any skin in the game whatsoever, and give you a full-on outside look into our department.
Any discussion?
So, go ahead, Peter.
You didn't get like a timeline, we even have this on our agenda, if approved, how long will this take?
So there's a tentative schedule, project timeline on page 15. It's roughly 15 weeks, 12 weeks from beginning to end. But it also depends on how many, meetings they need to have. So there's site visits, there's meetings with staff, there's meetings with elected officials, there's also, various different reporting pieces. It kind of depends on how much money, how much information we have up front. So it's a little flexible one way or the other. Could be done in 10 weeks, could be done in 14.
Bottom line, though, it would be done before we have to renew our contract with Delta.
That, yes, and also before you would have to, it also might be a very helpful document for when the union contract is up for renewal next June. So I think it gives us a bunch of good information. And the reason, now is also it would be done before we finalize our next budget process.
Okay. So in something like this, is it just for the full-time employees, or would per diem also be
They
involved?
look at everything.
Everything.
And not only just us, but the town of Benton as well. So our goal is to actually ask Benton to assist with this. But
So will they have like an evaluator going on and run with them, or just evaluate the situation?
if that's something that they need to do, but I'm not certain that is what they need to do. It all kind of depends. If we ask them to, they can do that. They're not here to assess whether or not they're properly certified. That's not what this is for. These folks have a background in this industry by more than 25 years. This is more or less to look at, like in their experience, call trends, and the increase in call trends. Does it warrant a different level of staffing? Maybe it's a 42-hour shift and not a 56-hour shift. Maybe it's expand our mutual aid partnerships. The report that was done for the town of Saco even made a recommendation that every single new commercial structure that was built in their town have a sprinkler system, right? Like, so it was everything from employment trends to, are you going to have enough people? And then if you have sprinkler systems, then you'll be fine with the decrease in the number of employees going into firefighting. I mean, it's a really cohesive kind of exam.
Chief Bickford, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, as far as your opinion.
I think it's a good idea. It's never been done in the fire service. We really haven't had full-time leadership only from the late 80s. So the first 50 years were part-time people. We haven't changed operations. We've had the same 6 full-time positions since 1974, and we've never added to those positions. We found ourselves being dictated to by a third party on how we treat our ill and injured citizens. Getting them to the hospital basically was dictated by a private corporation. So yes, I mean, I've been here 30 years, so I'm on the downhill side.
Right, but you bring a lot to the table as far as experience and.
It'll be a good document for the new person coming in to set goals. So we have the ISO ratings, look at a lot of this, but they look at it as a risk management insurance aspect instead of what's best for the community. And that's what we have to look at, is what's in the best interest of not only taxpayer, but people within the community. So yeah, I would support it 100%.
And your feeling is your crew would engage and welcome it? It wouldn't be, they wouldn't get the feeling they was kind of being micromanaged or somebody coming in?
No, I think they would look at it as they may greatly benefit.
Never either.
Okay, good, thank you. I just didn't want to do, you're very close to being full staffed, So I didn't want to do anything to hurt the
But
morale.
it depends on what you call full staff.
One
We're
position.
full staff to 1974 standards.
Right.
Well, it's 2024 now.
That's all right. I just didn't want to go backwards, that's all.
No. Well, even if you get the report, doesn't mean you have to follow it.
Right, I was just worried
It's just a
about
report.
morale and stuff like that inside
No,
the
I think they
station.
would welcome it.
By helping them.
Yeah, all right, good, thank you.
I'd like to address how we're going to pay for this service. And the town manager had mentioned using ARPA funds, and I do feel that this would be an excellent opportunity to use ARPA funds where it's just a one-shot deal. So I'm all for that,
How much do we have left there, Michelle?
Quite a bit. I think that needs to be updated. This says as of June, we had 538,000, but I think it's a
Okay.
little bit less than that.
I think-
So, yeah, and I didn't put this on here for you to make a decision tonight either. We can get you that exact number we'd
I
bring it
think
back
we,
to your next meeting if
Yeah.
you wanted to go forward.
but your intent is also to ask Benton to chip in?
Yep. But we wanted to make sure it's something we wanted to go forward with first before we even approach that.
think it'd be,
so.
The feeling of the council is to probably move forward with that.
Like an action item for next meeting?
An action item, and also a list of what we have spent ARPA money on to
Yeah.
date.
I can get you that, easy peasy.
I think we, very good.
Very good.
Yep, perfect. All right,
Please-
we'll bring it
please
back to
move
you next
forward
meeting.
At the next meeting. Thank you. At this point, we'll have discuss other council business. So Councilor Pachati.
No, I'm good right now.
Okay. Councilor Thibodeau.
I am fine, thank you.
Councilor McDonald.
No, this is one of the few times where I think I'm good for a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you. Councilor Lawrence.
I just want to thank all the town employees. I've been seeing them again, doing their fine work. I saw Bruce down here because I knew that we had an issue with the toilet system and things like that. So I just want to thank all the town employees, what they do.
Thank you. I think for myself, I just have one thing. I guess it'll kind of bookend into the PFAS committee. As I look at this, we just have our report coming out, and I'm not sure whether to be angry, be challenged, be sad. I'm not sure about this community and dealing with PFAS. And obviously, it's going to really affect this community in the next year and actually going forward in the next 10 years and 20 years and beyond. And if what we do now will make a difference on how this town either rediscovers itself and reinvents itself and thrives, or really could collapse. So I think it's really important that we focus on this issue going forward. And so anybody who is interested in joining the committee, I would encourage you to do so, because there is going to be a lot of work to be done. So that's it for me, but thank you very, very much. The next, so at this point, the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, July 26, 2023, to be held as a hybrid meeting in council chambers and via Zoom at 6:30 PM. So at this point, I'll call the meeting to recess.
Make a motion for recess.
Second.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you all for coming.
Good luck with your businesses in the coming year.